welcome everyone. I'm just waiting for a few more people to come in. Hopefully everyone's having a great day. Couple more people. You guys are more than welcome to come talk amongst yourselves. I see Kenneth. I see Dre. Who else is in here? Mark, I see. Hello, everyone. Juma. Pan Junkie. Good evening, good night, good day. Jimmy! Welcome. Waiting on a couple more people, and then we'll get started. So hello everyone, welcome to All Things Pan. My name is Danielle George. The song you just heard was Hooks, composed by Mark Laquan and the great Ken Professor Fillmore, sung by Destra, performed by the person that we are interviewing tonight, the band that he leads, the National CL Symphony Orchestra. So if you're new to this, page, on this page we talk to many panists, tuners, arrangers, composers, just pertaining to all things pan. And on that note, I'm so excited to have, he's done so many things in the pan fraternity. Just waiting for him to come on. Mr. Akua Leith. Hello, sir.
Hello, hello, hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm great. Are you seeing me?
Seeing you great.
Okay. Are you hearing me great as well?
Hearing you perfect.
Okay, lovely.
So you're doing good? How was your Monday?
Monday's excellent. I look forward to my Mondays. It's the start of the week. Start of new possibilities and new things. So
Yeah.
I'm excellent.
That's good. I actually heard something earlier today that we know someone in common very, very well.
Yes,
Mr.
that's true.
Cecil George. I did not know this.
Yes, I know your father. Actually, when I just started to become public with my
Right.
musical career, that was in 2009. For the very, very first time arranging for a school band.
Yes.
This gentleman walked up on the track and he said, "Who did this song?" At the time he was talking to me, I said, "Well, I did him.
Yeah.
Young man, you have something. Keep doing what you're doing, and an excellent job." And to be honest, every time I showed up in the savannah after that, in the panorama, anything, I will see your father. I
Oh
will
wow.
see your father. I will see him. When I became director of NSSO, I saw him in the auditorium. It's like he had this instinct. He said, "I heard something like saying that has to be Akua. That has to be the guy I met back in 2009." And from then till now, that's how our relationship go. We bounce up and we talk and we share these moments of the first day until now.
Oh wow.
So,
Small world.
very small world.
So before we actually get started, I just want to let you know that I let the viewers ask you some questions. So if that's okay with you. Oh,
All right, you
lost you
hear me?
there. Hearing you.
Okay. Yeah, good.
So just to let you know, I let the viewers ask you a few questions near the end. So if you're
Sure.
okay with that, you're good. You can't
I'm
move.
good. I'm good.
You can't go. You
I'm
can't
ready.
leave. You can't leave.
I'm here. I'm leaving. I'm here.
All right. All right. So tell us the history about the National Steel Symphony Orchestra.
Well, the National Steel Symphony Orchestra, I tend to want to give people the perspective of where we came from. So it's not just the National Steel Symphony Orchestra, but we are the fourth integration of what I would call a national entity coming out of Trinidad and Tobago.
Mm-hmm.
The first being TASPO. In 1951, they would have traveled to England for the Festival of Britain, which followed by the National Steel Band of Trinidad and Tobago. They had a great tour to the United States as one of their significant points. And then it had the National Steel Orchestra.
Oh.
And now, in 2007, we formed the National Steel Symphony Orchestra. So collectively, there has been about 70 years of a national representation coming out
Wow.
of Trinidad and Tobago. So, but specific to NSSO, NSSO started in 2007 under the Ministry of Community Development, Culture and the Arts. We were led then by Mr. Jessel Maury, who is now a dean at the University of the West Indies. From 2007, November 2007 till now, we have done a lot of international collaborations, international tours. We have a lot of collaboration in terms of local artists, local groups. We comprise of what I will say, not just the best players in Trinidad and Tobago, but some of the best players in the world who are university trained. They are leaders in their own right in the community bands and in other spheres. They have to be auditioned and interviewed to be part of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the orchestra is a full-time job. We are now under the Ministry of Tourism, Culture
Mm.
and the Arts.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. That's exciting. That's new. And
Yeah.
and definitely is a significant group to show where the steel pan has grown to and where we intend to go.
Nice.
So
Nice.
as a
Yeah.
synopsis of some of the things.
A little breakdown. So you mentioned that there's an audition and an interview. What is that process like? If someone
As you,
want to join the group.
okay. So first you have to be a Trinidadian, Trinbagonian, I should say, and be a
Mm-hmm.
local. We have a application process where persons we send out a ad in the papers, letting persons know that we are seeking new members, and they will apply for that position. We then go into a shortlisting process where we take, based on person's experience, maybe their education, who we think will be fitted, narrowing down the numbers. And then
Mm.
from there, we go into an interview and a blind audition. And persons are scored. And based on the ministry's rules, anybody scoring above 75% upwards are eligible of higher. But then we go into what a need basis type of entry where we fulfill sections that may need that particular skill set to be hired at that point in time.
Okay. So it's a long process, from what I'm understanding.
It's definitely a long process.
Yeah. Wow. So I will, when I come visit, I will just come visit. I won't go through that process because.
Exactly. You could come visit. You could definitely come.
Okay.
You could walk
Okay.
right in.
Cool.
You could walk right
Cool.
in. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So I noticed watching a few of your videos, you guys use the G pan.
Yes.
Is there a reason for that instead of using an ordinary steel pan?
Well, part of when the NSSO was formed was when our deceased Prime Minister at the time was going through the process of launching the G pan and the
Mm.
patent for that pan under the national Trinidad and Tobago national Ellen. So we are more or less was part of that unfolding. So we exclusively uses the G pan from then till now. I won't say we are not ever going to do the traditional pans, but the G pans
Mm.
afford us certain things that the traditional pan doesn't. But the traditional pan also has certain things that the G pan doesn't afford us. So definitely for now, we
Mm-hmm.
exclusively use those pans based on the entire project of forming the National Steel Symphony Orchestra, patenting the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago, and that whole energy behind the country at that point in time.
Okay. Interesting. Good to know.
Yes, yes,
So,
definitely.
what kind of, over the years, I've noticed, what kind of music or music genre do you guys tend to go towards to perform? Or is it just kind of a mixture? Is it what you feel? Is it what the players feel? How does that
Well,
work?
it's program work. It's definitely program work where we outfit our repertoire based on the program that we are embarking on.
Mm,
We definitely play a lot of classical music from all the eras. We have a lot of traditional songs, calypso, we have the soca's. We have contemporary music. We have the reggae jam. So it's more or less everything. And then
mm-hmm.
the most significant thing, starting from when I started to direct the orchestra, we do a lot of premiering new music for the instrument, music that was
Okay.
specifically written for the steel pan or the steel pan and a combination of other traditional instruments. So our genres are not limited,
Mm-hmm.
and we could definitely outfit any particular type of situation based on the challenge or the programming at the point in time.
Okay. Nice. So, what are you saying that you decide all the music or?
Definitely it lands on I
Yeah.
do have the say, but how we operate, there's conversations. I mean, as I
Okay.
said, the NSS will have a lot of great minds, and
Yeah.
I tend to tap into that. I do see myself just as the director, but I see myself as the director of persons who have a lot of experience. So
Mm-hmm.
with that, with those people in the space, I call on persons to have input on what is some of the good things we could do to really
Right.
bring forward whatever element of repertoire or concert that we are looking for. So
Mm-hmm.
there's conversational type of leadership happening there.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. You mentioned earlier that you performed internationally and locally.
Yes.
Where have you guys performed, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, sure. The orchestra traveled to Barbados, we traveled to Suriname, we traveled to China. There was places. I may not get all. I mean, I didn't
Mm.
go on every single trip,
Yeah.
but Martinique. So we had some international travel, especially in 2013. I think we did 4 tours that year.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, regionally and internationally.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
We
Um,
haven't been to the States as yet or England, but
okay.
definitely on the agenda.
Okay. Have you performed with other symphonies, or is it just um, like certain artists where you've performed internationally?
Well, internationally, we didn't have much collaborative work,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a few, but
Mm-hmm.
locally, we performed with the Nsso of the United States, National Symphony Orchestra of the United States. We
Uh-huh.
also performed with the National Orchestra of China.
Oh,
We
wow.
have done collaborative work with a group, the granddaughter of Violeta Parra of Chile. We have done groups with groups from India. So there's a lot of collaborations that
Mm-hmm.
happen locally through our Ambassador Connection program
Mm-hmm.
that tend to give us that international experience on local soil.
Nice.
So definitely that is part of our fitting,
Yeah.
wanting to cross cultures, bring our culture to them and they bring their culture to us and marry the instrument and their instruments
Mm-hmm.
in terms of a concert and so forth. So
Nice. Nice. Good to know.
yeah,
We should bring you down to Canada.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, throughout all those performances, what is your most memorable one to date?
And for me personally, I can remember my first time because I didn't start off as a director. I actually was a member of the orchestra in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
So I can remember that premiering of the group in Queen's Hall. It took my thinking, especially under the baton of Mr. Murray, to a totally different level, where we now have a professional conductor, and we are all in these suits, and we have an audience who is sitting, and they are all passed by all the ambience of the size of the instrument. That definitely took my mind to a different level.
Right.
So that for sure was a memorable time. And from then they had multiple others. But for sure the premiering of the NSSO and being part of that
Mm-hmm.
did do something to me. And the
Yeah.
other part was literally coming back home and being the director. So having my first conducting show, which wasn't a concert performance, it was actually one of our outfitting, which we call the Brown Bag series. which was in front of the Nallis Library in Port of Spain. My
Mm-hmm.
very first performance with the NSSO. And we
Yeah.
did a variety of repertoire there as well. That for sure stood out as well. Because I mean, the place is full. I'm now replacing an icon, someone who has these big shoes to fill. You know, I'm now fresh from school and I'm now the director of my peers.
Mm-hmm.
And it went really, really well. It went
That's
really, really
good.
well. And I definitely remember that particular day as well. Yeah.
Like it was yesterday.
Like it was yesterday. And
That's
that
amazing.
unfolded as well. The first show at Napa, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the first international collaboration, and the work just kept coming. So I didn't really have time to think.
Right.
But yeah, that those two first, the first of me playing as a member and the first of me directing the orchestra, definitely are two memorable times I could bring to
Yeah.
the table.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. So speaking of being a player to now the director, how did that come out? How did that come about? Did you just apply? Did they come to you and just say, "We think you'll fit the, fit the bill"?
Well, that's a story, but I could give you it in short form. I definitely had felt as if I'd reached the end of my playing career.
Mm,
And I always had the dream of becoming a director. So even while being a member, I used to watch the director with a keen eye. It wasn't just to follow his gestures or his movements, but
mm-hmm,
was definitely to see how he operated as the leader of the group. So
mm-hmm.
that was a burning desire of mine. So in 2013, I decided at that time I wanted to go pursue my master's.
Okay.
At that time, it wasn't to do it in conducting, it was just to go pursue my master's. I
Right.
wanted something more. And I applied for NIU in 2012. I deferred for a year in 2013, and I actually went in 2014. And my first semester in NIU, I saw they had a conductor who worked very closely with the steel orchestra, Mr. Ronnie Wooten, Dr. Ronnie Wooten. And it was so impressive to see this foreigner, let's say this American, conduct the steel band. And I said, wait, boy, I need to reignite this dream.
Right.
And Mr. Teague, Liam Teague, hello, Mr. Teague, if you ever watch this podcast, and deceased Cliff Alexis, being my lecturers at the time, I mean, I was intimidated to talk about a switch, but I felt compelled to tell Liam, Liam, my burning desire, my dream is ready to conduct. So
Mm-hmm.
shit, can I switch my degree? So I'll still do steel band performance, but I really want to focus on conducting with Mr. Wooten. And because of my scholarship, I was afforded to do that. I was able to do that based on finances and other things.
Mm-hmm.
And Liam, I must say, he gave full support. He said, if that is what you want to do, Akua, go for it. So I was excited for the second semester. I had contacted Mr. Wooten within that period. He said, this is what you need to do. Now I have a whole set of additional work. I need to learn all the wind instruments in the wind ensemble because he was the director of the wind ensemble. So in
Right.
order for me to learn conduct, I need to know the instruments. So
Right.
that took on a whole new degree. But all in all, I did conduct it at NIU as well.
Okay.
And at that point in time, again, coming back home to serve at NSSO was not on the horizon. Mr. Mori was there. He was doing a fantastic job, and that was that. But
Mm-hmm.
just as my degree ended, I think I had one more week before I returned home.
Yeah.
Mr. Mori resigned.
Huh.
He resigned, and as fate had it, the ministry did contact me to serve on my return as the director. So it was
Right.
like, my God, of dream coming true.
Yeah. Yeah.
One, having my master's, and two, now becoming the director of the NSSO. So I
Yeah.
accepted. I didn't accept like, yes, it's time. I was intimidated by the position. And then with counsel and talking with my peers, some good friends, I
Mm-hmm.
got the encouragement to literally stand firm in the position. And I think I still have that support up to date. So
That's
that's
good.
the long story of how that manifested.
Yeah.
But to me, definitely, I did leave the country wanting to come back home to serve at a level like that. So
Mm-hmm.
let's just say, as fate has it, it was
Yeah.
placed there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just saw Cecil just joined in, so if you want to say hi to him.
Also, Mr. George.
I'm sure he has some questions for you later on.
I'm sure.
So since we got got to know you through Nsso. Who is Akua Leith? Who
Wow.
who is the man, the myth, the legend?
Ooh, Mr. Malaysian, wow. I think I have to earn those names. I
You're
don't
getting
think
there.
I'm.
You're getting there. You're getting there.
I tend, but when I mean, just maybe a few weeks ago, I was thinking of that very same question. Who am I?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
from different levels, I can tell a story of Akua, the musician. I can tell a story of Akua, the father and the husband. I can tell a story of Akua, the dreamer, Akua, the businessman.
Mhm.
Akua, the spiritual being who embodies God. There's many versions that I can tell an entire story on. I
Right.
mean, people read, your bios, they see your professional work, but
Mhm.
who is really, who are you? Who are you?
Yeah. Yes.
Um, I tend to when I look back, when I look back at where I came from, coming from humble beginnings, when I tell this story, I tend to say what I don't want to say because I must say, despite the situation, the physical situation, my mentality was never there. I never saw myself as poor. I never saw myself as not having in the mental space, but the situation would lend to that.
Mhm.
So my parents, my mom had me at age 17. Let's imagine that coming in the 80s, 17-year-old having their first child, so she had to drop out of school.
Yeah.
The first of six siblings, a proud mother, a proud father today, of three children. My wife, I'm married to a beautiful lady called Deandra Patterson Leith.
Aw.
She's my backbone, she's my pillar, definitely my biggest supporter.
Mhm.
And 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 saying all that, I must say I will credit myself for having huge dreams and always thriving to have another dream. When this dream is accomplished, which could have been impossible at the point in time, I'll
Mhm.
create another big dream. So I'll call myself a big dreamer who follows through until that dream was realized. And to date, I must say, as I get closer and closer to understanding my spiritual self and world and on what our destiny is, I tend to go further and further in those type of spaces, which is dreaming bigger and bigger each time.
Mhm.
I can remember at one point in time, dreaming to go UE was the biggest thing out.
Right.
And then in that time, dreaming to leave UE was the biggest thing out to graduate.
Right. Yeah.
And that has manifested into many other things. So so yes, all the accolades, yes, all the degrees and being a Fulbright scholar and all those different things. But I see myself as a humble being who just wants to realize the best version of himself, the best version of what I was brought on this earth to do, and do it with a level of integrity, a level of professionalism, and always with the best of in mind for other persons and myself. So
Mhm.
that's me there. That's me.
That's you in a nutshell.
That's me in a nutshell. That's me.
Nice.
You can read about other things. You can
Okay.
definitely read about other things.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
mentioned you have kids. Are they interested in Pan? Are you putting them in Pan? Is there anything?
My son, I must say, sometimes you don't have to put them because they are in the environment, because they see, they are intrigued, and
Hmm.
they play. So my son do play with the Diamond Vale Primary School. I'll get the name wrong there. If Miss Joseph is listening to this, she will kill me for that. But he performs with his primary school.
Okay.
He did travel. He traveled to Disney performing with his primary school
Oh, wow.
last 2019. My daughter, I have my pants set up in my house, so she tends to have me teach her songs ever so often.
Hmm.
The last being the national anthem. Um, and my baby boy, he sees them doing these things, so he just take the sticks and he starts playing. Maybe not
Right.
at the best, but banging on the instrument in ways that I don't like. But
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
that's the beginning stages.
Yes.
So they like it. They definitely like it. They
Hmm.
embody themselves and they play. But to say I will guide them down that path and say you must be a panist, that's not the case. Whatever they
Hmm.
want to do, whatever they want to become, I'll be fully supportive of that.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I know we've touched a bit of it throughout this interview, but I've read that you've done so much in your life. Do you wanna highlight a few of them for us? For those that don't know?
Sure. Hmm, let's go Akua the academic.
Okay.
But definitely, I attended St. Anne's RSC primary school. So big up to my primary school. Then I did the common entrance exam, and I passed for Southeast Port of Spain secondary school.
Hmm.
And in that place is where I actually was introduced to steel band. So my
Okay.
cousin used to play with the school band at the time, and again, being inquisitive, I wanted to be in the Panyard. They were practicing in Nila Massey, Trinidad All Stars Spaniard at that point in time, which is now Massey All Stars.
Yeah.
And that very first visit, till now, I never stopped playing. So that was my introduction to Pan. From Southeast, I left school. I started working immediately because of my situation
Hmm.
at home. But within that time, maybe 4 or 5 years after school had left secondary school, I then had a dream to go to UE. I did my certificate in music at that point in time, and then I went on to do my degree, my bachelor's in steel band, uh, in performance, and steel band being the emphasis or being the focus. And
Hmm.
from there, I went on to gain a full ride scholarship, which afforded me the opportunity to do my master's at the Northern Illinois University.
Hmm.
So which I have my master's in steel band performance and conducting. So that's the academic core. In
Yeah.
terms of the musician, I performed with almost every band in Trinidad. Not
Wow.
not what people do today, but literally being inquisitive.
Right.
I started off playing outside of school with Carib Tokyo Steel Orchestra, big up to Carib Tokyo, out at
Okay.
John John there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
My dad
started
used to
off
play
in,
for them.
yeah, oh,
Yeah.
serious? Whoa, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah,
So I started off playing with Carib Tokyo, and then I migrated to Massey Trinidad All Stars. So those were the two big bands. You see my home bands. But within those two spaces, I mean, I had musician friends who arranged for Merry Tunes, who arranged for singer pan bands and Buccaneers, and I did for
wow.
Zata Steel Orchestra. And I was just following friends, and then I wanted to follow arrangers. I wanted to play for Jitsamru, so I played with Renegades. I wanted to play for um, for I could call many names. There's so
Yeah,
many bands,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I did started to pick out arrangers like Ray Hullman. So I went to that band in St. James, Power Stars, and those type of things. So I started to chart my career around who arranger I want to song like or arrange like or just
Hmm.
understand what they do. So
Right.
that afforded me a variety of bands that I played for. Well, you know, I was a member of the National Steel Symphony Orchestra as well.
Hmm.
And well, I played with NIU Steel Band, um, and I did the virtual steel band under Dr. Mia Gormandi. So those
Yeah,
are my playing places.
yeah, yeah.
So definitely a lot of experience there. What else? What else? What else I could talk about in terms of significance? Anything you wanted me to mention that you may have read?
No,
But
anything that you feel you want to highlight.
yeah, but that's basically. I mean, now
Yeah.
today, what I'm really interested in outside of the career part is literally telling persons how I did it. How
Hmm.
did I achieve these things? How was I able at this age to impact or to go through all these experiences? So
Right.
I am into mentorship. I'm into having these motivational talks. Hence, I accepted this opportunity. You know, I want to share. I want persons to understand that anything is possible. Anything that you put your mind to and you're willing
Yes.
to work at it
Yes.
is possible. You know, so
Yeah.
and as the Bible say, all things are possible for those who believe. So
Hmm.
I am in that space now where I really want, especially at this time, you know, the pandemic is going on. The world is under serious amount of fear. How
Hmm.
would we overcome this? Are we looking towards the future post COVID? Are we looking towards what we can do in this time despite the negativity?
Hmm.
That's where I'm at, where I can bring a level of light to the dark tunnel that some persons are in or
Hmm.
some persons perceive that they are in at this point in time. So
Yeah.
I think that could give you a synopsis of some significance there.
Yeah. So, how did you get involved with NSO? Like what?
NSSA.
Yeah, what made you decide? Let me audition, do the interview, and see what happens. Like what? Who pushed you? Did someone push you?
Right. What I could say is in everything that I did, I always wanted to do it at the highest level.
Right.
I can remember when I started, I missed an important point of the academics. I actually joined Trinity or Generation School of the Art. That school was a breaking ground for myself. And also Siddiqui Sticks on Steel. What happened? While being in the community bands, you're around multiple people, multiple members. So you are more or less within the crowd. Until I met Sion Gomez under the Prisons Youth Club. You see some significant places there. Prisons Youth Club, Trinity Generation School of the Arts. I just called one more name. Siddiqui Sticks on Steel.
Yeah.
Prison Youth Club came out of Southeast Port of Spain Secondary School. So while in Southeast, our director of the steel band started, he was a prison officer. It wasn't that we were troublemakers, it's just the name of the sponsor, more or less.
Right.
And we formed the Prison Youth Club. That is where I honed most of my skills. I had a lot of great friends there, and we were very, very much, we call Panjambi, always in the Panya. Everything happened in that space under that institution. And in that institution, I met a good friend today, which is still my big brother. He was the best man in my wedding, Sion Gomez. Sion Gomez was my first example of what could have been possible on a professional level in steel band. So I met this Rasta guy, very tall, articulate, well-spoken. He came to help us with a particular song he was doing for music festival. And within his conversation, he was saying that he just came back from doing his degree at NIU. And I mean, I'm saying, NIU? So you're saying you can have a degree in music? And yes, of course you can have a degree in music. And that intrigued a goal for me to have a degree in music. I want to have a degree from NIU.
Yeah.
So within that time, he introduced me to Liam Teague. Actually, my mom used to work for one of Liam's managers. If it was his only manager, I'm not sure, but I will say one of his managers. And she would come home and say, "Go, the guy from TV, Hands of Lightning, he came and visit Mr. Foster, who passed away this year, actually, God rest his soul." And she would come home and give all these stories, not talking to him, of course, but knowing I play pan and knowing Liam Teague's TV icon is around, she always brings the story. But anyway, Sion introduced me to Liam, and I was, Liam, I want to come in at you. And at that time, Leon said, well, sure, it's possible, but it's a huge cost. And if you can't afford it, you might as well try to get all that you need to get in Trinidad.
Right.
So at that point in time, Sion and I were playing for Siddiqui Sticks on Steel. So we were traveling the world. We were doing all these festivals in the States, in Branson and in Tennessee. And then we went to China, we went to France. My mind was open up. These people, they embrace the pan like, wow, this is, I'm a superstar. When I'm going home, I'm nobody. When I'm out here, I'm this big icon. So all in all, my desire for taking the instrument serious started to grow. So at that time, I'm giving you the full story. I worked at Hilo, which was Hilo at the time, it's not Massey Stores. And of course, as a grocery, I just leave school, and that wasn't going well.
Right.
And while traveling, the manager of Siddiqui Sticks on Steel was a manager at TSTT. So I started to do a little work at TSTT as well, just to stay afloat. But then something happened. I decided to take this thing serious. And I stopped all those jobs and I joined Panland under Mr. Michael Cooper. So I said, I want to take this career serious, so I need to know everything steel pan. Right. So I joined Panland at that time, and I worked there for 3 years. And within that time at Panland, I joined Tags, because now I having the opportunity to know how to make the instrument. I now want to understand what I do in terms of the music. So I met Dr. Phaedra Pierre at that time at Tags. And while at Panland and while at Tags, I'm saying, okay, I need to be educated at a different level. and then UE came in. So again, I given you the build up. So I've been to UE, in UE now. I've been playing for a couple of years. I've served in Siddiqui traveling. I've served in Panland making pans. I now want to serve the country at the highest level playing. And then the ad came out in the papers. We are starting a National Steel Symphony Orchestra. And I was like, this is the time. This is the time I need to take the leap of faith. And just audition, sign up. This guy that they could tell you yes or they could tell you no.
Right.
I was still at Panland at that time, and we auditioned in actually 2006, or actually we did the interview in 2006, and in 2007, and it did happen like this. I literally left Panland the Friday because UE was getting hectic. There was a lot of information I needed to do. Getting to class was getting problematic. I finished work, I have to rush up the bus route. I said, you know what, let me focus on my education. And the Friday I left Panland. The Monday, the ministry called for the National Steel Symphony Orchestra.
Wow.
So it was out of Panland into Nsso.
Yeah.
So that's the story. It's literally me wanting to serve and to serve at a higher level and to more or less push myself to be better at what I did at that point in time. So that's what made me actually pursue being a member musician too at the orchestra at that point in time.
Wow. That's
a big story. I don't think I ever told that story so before, thinking about it.
We're the first. Yay! Oh my goodness. So I just saw Pan Trinbago log in, so welcome.
Welcome, Pan Trinbago.
They came at a good time because I want to ask you a serious question right now.
Sure.
Do you think Pan is being promoted enough in Trinidad?
Pan is being promoted. When you say promoted, what do you mean?
Do you feel the world is getting to know Pan the way it should be known, or do you think we should do more? What do you think Trinidad's doing enough to do that?
Right. I tend to look at this, looking at progress. I always tell my colleagues and the membership, learn to measure progress, right? And if it is, we do that, we tend to see things from a different perspective. Right. I could answer the question one way, then I'll go back. I could definitely say we could do more. We could definitely do more from a point of view of the possibilities. But where we came from, though, I mean, I had the privilege, I say privilege, to work closely with Cliff Alexis. Before I went to NIU, I saw myself as being very passionate and being respectful for the instrument. But it's different when you see the instrument through an icon.
Right.
Cliff Alexis, I call Cliff, this is Cliff Alexis icon. And I'll give you a quick story of what changed my perspective immediately in entering NIU. You know, for Carnival, I'm sure you'll do it in Canada. You tend to take your pan off the stands and sometimes put it on the grass or put it lay down without making a song on the ground. You make sure it's well taken care of when it's on the ground. So getting into NIU, being a Trinidadian, being the grad student, having our first steel band class, very first steel band class. I wanted to prepare. Liam sent out the emails, all the scores were ready. So I wanted to try my hand, go practice, see what was coming up. So when the rehearsal start, you know, I'm aware of what's happening. So to do that, I needed to borrow a pan stand from the steel band room.
Right.
So I went in the room, there was a painted pan, I took it off the stand, rested on the ground nicely, it made a song, went upstairs, used the stand, rehearsed, came back downstairs. 2 minutes before class, Cliff was already in the room sitting. And his face is serious, and he's just there, right in the rhythm section, just waiting for class to start. And as soon as Liam entered the room, he hit his iron and he asked a question: who put that pan on the ground? What if that's the pan I just put on the ground? He said, who put the pan on the ground? And the lone Trinidadian had to put his hand. Grad student, it was me, Mr. Alexis. He said, we don't do that here. He said, it's an instrument. You wouldn't see a saxophone on the ground. You wouldn't see a piano on the ground. So don't put the steel pan on the ground. It had nothing to do with how well you placed it on the ground. It had nothing to do if you didn't make a song. It had everything to do with the respect of the instrument. So yes, I was respectful
Yeah.
But it definitely wasn't at the level of Mr. Alexis.
Right.
So from that day, I mean, we grew very close. It wasn't like a terrible buffing, but it definitely was a point he made, and I felt it in my soul.
Mm-hmm.
The perspective now in terms of the progress. Within that time, we spoke about Nsso, we spoke about getting paid, and he said things like, at least you all are getting paid. We spoke about moving to Napa. He said, at least you all are being accepted in a performance space.
Mm-hmm.
So what they experience, we're talking about pan being tabooed. You're talking about getting licks in the dry river. You're talking about culture and being panyas. You're talking about the instrument not being well tuned. You're talking about being convex to concave. You're talking about all those things. From back then to now, we are definitely on an upward spiral. We are definitely progressing in the right direction. Mm-hmm. So measuring the progress over 70 years, over 80 years, close to be 100 years of where steel pan came from, to where steel pan is, I think a lot has happened. You're talking about Nsso, which was before NSSO. Mm-hmm. A lot of persons not even being educated in steel pan. They were experts at what they do. They were the best coming out of the panyards. But now you have UTT, you have UE, you have Costart, you have Nazarene College. You're seeing things being unfolding in front of you. You're talking about, yes, the system could be better. Pans are being placed in primary schools. You're now having supporting organizations, pan in the classroom. You have these names do come to me quite easy. Talking about the Music History Trust, you're talking about pan notation being launched. When all those things summarize, you're talking about UTT now having a foreign program being opened up. You're talking about UE having these things where steel pan is now have multiple ensembles and jazz and all these different things. Mm-hmm. Where we are today compared to where we were, mm-hmm. I'm definitely me. Being the optimistic person that I am, we are in the right direction. When you come to Panorama, you see where pan came from in terms of Panorama as well. Yes, things could be better. Yes, we can have the festival marketed at an international level. Yes, we can have a tighter show. Yes, all those things are in place. But we should not acknowledge the fact that we are progressing in the right direction. So that's my answer to say that we need more minds. We need people to come together. We need to have these type of rapports, not just in Trinidad, but any place in the world that has pan and cares about it. You're from Canada, and you have this online thing happening every Monday over this period of time, beginning the second series, the fifth session. All these things, we now have to come out of being Chumbegonian and now being international in the world, having a conversation about steel pan. So Trinidad, in the conversation alone, it's beyond that. I now see the instrument as a pinnacle in terms of the 21st century being one of the only instruments being invented. And if you think of the transformation of a violin or a flute or a piano, steel pan has done it in a much shorter time. Where I know somebody who was one of the founders of the steel pan. Where can you find that in any other instrument? We are living a time where we have gone through a stage of now having Liam premiering pieces with traditional orchestras around the world. And you're having jazz shows, and we're having persons composing and persons living by this thing. We now have multiple panoramas around the world. I think what's happening with pan, we are now starting, the foundation is laid. Yes, we now have to send up the blocks and send up the pillars and send up all those things, but we're on the right track. We are on the right track. You know, educated persons in having these conversations who are now taking the instrument to the next level. That's my long answer to if I'm seeing Trinidad promoting the instrument enough. It's not a collective thing. It's now a collective responsibility of all who care about pan internationally. So that's my response.
Very well said. You got me. Very well said. Very well said. So before we end, if anyone has any questions, we can probably fit a couple in. Do you have any advice for any up and coming young panist musicians that are looking to you right now?
Definitely. I think know what you want and write it down. You must have that goal. You must give your mind an instruction, something to work towards. You know, what do you want out of this thing? Do you want to be a musician based on someone who's just sharing the instrument? So do you want to be a transcriber? Do you want to be a performer? What type of performers do you want to be? Do you want to be someone like Liam, who is doing all these magnificent things as an educator, jazzist, symphonic performer, many things? What do you want? Having that information, then you instruct your decisions to navigate yourself to that particular desire. And stay true, stay focused. I must say my goal to have a master's degree was back in 2003, 2004. I left for Trinidad to NIU in 2014. So you're talking about 10 years of focus towards realizing that particular goal. So don't give up, don't give in, stay focused, stay true to your vision, stay true to your goal, and persevere, and you will get there.
Great advice. Great advice. Yes. Wow. So Cecil wants to know, what year did you play with Tokyo? If you remember.
99. So I played in Tokyo maybe 2000, maybe 99, 2000, 2001. 3 years, 3 or 4 years. Guitar pan. I can't remember all the pans. Definitely, I played under Ray Holman at that time. He was the arranger.
Okay. What do you have a go-to pan whenever you play? Is there like I
take, if I wanted to be easy, I play 10. But I could play any instrument. I play cello. I play double seconds. If I just want to, with no stress.
Yeah.
My professional instrument is the tenor.
Tenor. Nice. Do you like the high tenor, low tenor? Is there a particular tenor? Doesn't matter?
G-pan, the G-tenor.
Anything?
It doesn't matter.
Well, excuse me.
I mean, not me good, but
I know.
It's more honest. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Do you have... Tell us one thing about yourself that no one knows, that you're willing to share. Keep it,
right.
PG. PG.
Definitely. I mean, this. I mean, I never did an Instagram live.
Okay.
I mean, you would know. I asked you.
Yeah.
How do you? Let's test this thing out. Can I do this on my laptop? Do I need to do that on my phone? I don't think anyone in this age will be saying you don't know how to do an Instagram live, but that might be something. And another thing you could know is I never liked pan. I never liked pan until Southeast. I never
really?
did. It was the most annoying thing on TV before I was introduced as a player.
Wow. And then and now you're doing this.
Most magnificent instrument in the world. I didn't understand. I didn't understand. I just didn't understand. I didn't understand at that point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Jen has a question. It disappeared. No carnival. What do you think can be done for those that are yearning to be in the Panyard?
Wow, good question. As I said, to me, take this with a level of optimism. I think, yes, a lot of persons died within this time, and it's a sad time around the world. But it also brought with it a seed of something magnificent. It brought with it to the world an opportunity for us to connect virtually, for us to dream, for us to become more creative. And I think we now have to look into that particular space where we should create something new to go forward post-COVID. What I'm seeing social distancing is a big thing.
Yeah.
But this interview, despite the amount of viewers, we are talking about a live interview. Let's take it to the question. A live competition or a live concert that could now be viewed as what the Olympic is. For the Olympics, not everybody goes to the stadiums, but everybody streams the actual experience.
Yeah.
What the World Cup is. Not everybody goes to the stadiums, but they actually stream the significance of what the World Cup brings. Trinidad and Tobago has that opportunity now. We have been bearing to be the mecca of the steel pan, the startups of Carnival. We have the opportunity now to package that and bring it to an experience following all COVID regulations, all the required things to make sure persons are healthy, but not let us rule out the opportunity to create a virtual experience that could now go into spaces that has never seen steel pan, that has never experienced the instrument, or persons who have not been able to come to the island. We could now take it to them. We have that opportunity, and not just as a free thing. I'm talking about a monetized opportunity where we can make revenue beyond our wildest imagination via that particular packaging or opportunity. In terms of the Panyard gin, just as the CPL, they had something called Mr. Kwame always call the name, which they call bubble quarantine, where everybody tests themselves to make sure they are healthy, there's no COVID thing on them, and you bubble them for a period of time while they go through the preparation time towards offering this experience. So I think there are opportunities that are lying there that we just need to sit and think to be able to bring forward, to not totally disband the opportunity of Carnival or any type of performances or experience that we can share with the world.
So Kenneth has a question. What's on the horizon for NSSO?
Definitely that. What we have been doing over the last few weeks, we have been taking our operations virtually. We have a lot of content. We actually didn't very well build out our online presence. So this opportunity brought that, where we are bringing forward all the concerts we had recording, all the experiences you would have done, and was just submerged into a file or into a box or into a flash drive. We are now putting it up, having our own YouTube page, our own ministry page. So that's happening. Beyond that, we are starting to develop, we actually started already developing short films, talking about different aspects of the industry. We're talking about history, we're talking about posture, we're talking about the sight reading, and we're talking about the experience of a conductor. So different things where we are now putting into short films where we can share with the world. Beyond that, post-COVID, we are looking forward to have a lot of tourist-related things where we could get into different foreign countries and show what the NSSO has been doing in Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, I think our travel experience should be expanded and so forth. We're also doing a lot of ambassador, or what we call ambassador connections, where we invite ambassadors to recommend persons from within their countries who we can collaborate with in Trinidad and take that collaboration to their spaces. So we marriage that too. Beyond that, we are a part of thinking camps for different aspects of the country's culture, especially Pan, and we are available. On the horizon, we are dreamers. We tend to think outside of the box. So things like that are unfolding as we speak. So
nice. We have a few minutes left. We have one more question from Bree. How has NSSO, been affected by the pandemic? What are some of your plans moving forward for the orchestra during and after the pandemic? You kind of already answered that, but if there's anything else.
Yes. I mean, definitely based on social distancing, we had to navigate our rehearsals to comply with that. You know, I mean, it's now the new normal, so it's not that we can't operate at all, but we definitely had to adhere to what is recommended by the authorities. So that has been the biggest effect on us. But outside of that, we are doing what we need to do in our virtual spaces, maintaining our relevance inside our society. So more or less, we are optimistic that things will get back to a space where it will normalize and we will be ready to take things forward just as we left it when that happened.
Nice. I noticed that the NSSO has 23 members, I believe.
Yes, at this point.
Yeah. Has that ever expanded, or is that just kind of the limit you're?
No, definitely. We started off with 38 members.
Oh, okay.
So right now we are in the process of hopefully soon getting new membership. So the numbers could go up to 38. So 23 members are what we have now, but we definitely need more.
Okay. So you guys heard it first. They're looking for more players. Bree, we have time for one quick question. what can you tell us about the Pan Notation Initiative?
Well, definitely. I will prefer to leave that for Dr. Mia Gomendi and Mark
Okay.
Loquan to deal with. I did have an insight on it. I mean, it's developing. We did have a few um, posts on what's to come, but I prefer to leave that for that when it comes.
Okay,
But
fair enough.
more or less, what it is an online space where persons could have their scores shared to the world for purchase and for subscription. I think that will be safe enough for me to say.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So everyone keep an eye out. And Kenneth wants to
Yes,
know if he can
yes.
audition.
Who's this? Who's this?
Kenneth.
Oh, okay. Of course, Kenneth. The same audition you did with Liam yesterday. So let's I'll keep you posted.
Too
I'll keep you
funny.
posted.
Well,
Yeah.
before we get cut off, I just want to thank you for coming on our show and telling us your experiences and your lessons and your advice, because we're all going to take that to heart and go and run with it.
Excellent. You're welcome, and thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
of
I know
course.
we were trying to get on to me for a while, but I'm glad
Yeah.
that it happened at this time. So
Yes.
it has
Yes.
been a splendid interview. Keep up your good work.
Thank
I know you're
you.
spending a lot of time doing your research, sending those emails. Behind the scenes, guys, this young lady is doing a lot of work. She's showing up smiling, but she's making sure that a lot of things are ready for this particular experience. So congratulations on that. And
Thank you.
congratulations to your dad. I can see where the passion came from.
Hmm.
Keep up the good work, Mr. George.
Yes. I'm sure he's going to talk to you later.
Yes, definitely.
So before we get cut off, I want to thank everyone for showing up and having fun with this interview. And make sure you tune in next Monday. We have a special guest. I don't want to say it just yet, but
Yes,
keep an eye out.
excellent.
All right. So everyone have a good night. Good night, Akua.
Good night.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.